Hi guys, welcome back. Welcome to Coding Visions. In this video, we will learn about sharing the view model inside Android and iOS apps. So between Android and iOS apps, how we can share the view model and all complete logic, right? So only we need to write the UI part only in the Android and iOS. So in the Android, we'll be using Jetpack Compose. In iOS, we will be using the SwiftUI, right? So till view model, everything we will be sharing, right? So I'll be explaining things how we can do that. So first of all, for that we need to use the first thing. Even before that, first of all, I am assuming you have created a project from this KMP JetBrains, right? With Android and iOS, do not share UI because we will be using SwiftUI. We are not sharing the UI. We are only sharing the logic, right? So then this project I have opened, I have downloaded from there and I have opened that, right? So we will be using the Moco MVVM for that. So it's the view model, actually it's similar to the Android view model, which we can use in Android and iOS both sides, right? Actually it provides some extensions to use the same view model inside the iOS side as well, using the way we are using the normal observable object in the SwiftUI. Similarly we will be using this view model, right? So first of all, let's add few dependencies. Yeah, here it is. Let's pick them up. Okay, so here let's put our dependencies in the common main. Okay, and then let's move them to the version catalog. Similarly it's the flow, right? Even if, let's say, just undo it, and we will do that for both of them together, right? So let's now make it, move it again, and both we need to add in Android main and iOS main as well, right? While I'll be coming to that point. So we need to make them exportable. So we can make any dependency exportable to other source set using the API this way, right? So libs dot vvm dot libs dot, what is that? Dot core, and here it is flow, right? Let's sync it. Similarly we will be exporting them in iOS side as well. Okay, and we need to export them here as well. Let's just copy them. If this is the creating the binaries for iOS app, right, from the shared ViewModel. So we will need to add them as export here, so that they will be exported inside for using the inside SwiftUI or iOS project, right? It's done. And in Android we will be adding one more dependency, that is flow compose. Okay, so this one we will be needing if we want to observe actions. I'll be coming to that while implementing API. Okay, cool. Now dependencies are done, and let's move on to the second part. Dependency setup is done. Okay, cool. So now let's, inside the common main we will be creating a view model first of all, right? So we will be just, I forgot to tell, so we will be creating a login screen, same login screen like username, password, and then after login, so we will be implementing that logic. Once login is successful, we can call API for login there, but we will not be calling actual API, but it will be like dummy API. So then after that, how we can observe the same things from the view model in both sides, right? Login view model, let's create that first, and if you see, it will extend view model, right? one more dependency actually I forgot to add. So this is the life cycle dependency we need to add. So lifecycle compose, yeah, runtime compose, so this one. So why we need this, I will tell you. So that our view model behaves like this, similar to the Android view model. For that it provides some extensions, so we can add them here. Implementation, okay, 2.7.0. yeah, so it will be providing, like, if whenever we will be collecting the state, we can collect state as state with life cycle, right? Life cycle aware, in life cycle aware way, right? Okay, so this is also done. Let's move back to this. So suppose here in the login what we'll be needing actually, so one will be the username, right? So username will be of actually this we will be using for the binding as well in the iOS. So it will be working on the mutable state flow if you want to bind from the iOS side, right? So it will be of string type, right? And then mutable state flow of, and then we need to make it C mutable state flow. This way it will be available for observing in the iOS side as well, right? These are few extensions. Similarly we will be using the password as well. It will be also again a string and C mutable, because we will be using for binding as well, right? What else we need? Maybe something like if loading, if like API call is processing, is loading, anything we can name it, right? We can give it a processing, okay, right? So it will be a mutable state flow of obviously boolean, right? State flow, first it will be false, right? And then create this backing property. Let's make it with underscores, dot as state flow dot C state flow. Similar to C mutable state flow, we have C state flow as well. Let's just remove the type, okay, and this one is done. So now what else we may need actually? So one thing is this variable. I will come to this. Suppose let's first define them, then I will be boolean. So it will be actually depending upon these username and password. If they are not empty, we can observe both of them and we can set it. If they are not empty, it will be enabled, right? So if we want to observe flows similar to the it's similar to the mediator live data. If you have worked with mediator live data, if we can want to observe more than one live data, we can use mediator live data. That will be that action will be triggered whenever any of those live data will be changing, right? Similarly we can use here combine. So here it will be username, password, okay, and okay, so it will be providing us these fields. So username dot is not is maybe not blank, or not empty, blank. It's probably the same thing. And then password dot is not blank. Okay, so if they are not blank, then it will be the true. So it will be kind of a state flow. Okay, so now what it's saying is, let's check it. It's saying to flow of boolean. Okay, yeah, now we need to, because it's just combine generates the flow, if you see, right? We need to make it as state flow dot, maybe we can use state in, if you have heard about that. So we can make any flow as state flow using state in. Okay, then we define the scope, then sharing started dot while subscribed we can use. Maybe we can give some timeout as well, stop timeout, and initial value will be the false. Okay, cool. And again let's make it C state flow, right, so that we can use it inside iOS. So now suppose there is one username and password there. So after username and password, suppose two fields are there, username and password. Once they will be not empty, then this will be enabled, button will be enabled. Then we will be clicking on the button. On click of button we need some method, right? So that will be triggering the actually API, right? So here we can set is processing dot value is equal to true, and then we can just ViewModel scope dot launch. Suppose we are calling API here, let's add delay. Simulate API, and then is processing dot value is equal to false, right? Let's make it false. Okay, and then what else we need? Is there anything we are missing? Okay, so there is one more thing. If we want to send some actions from here, from the view model, we can control, like suppose after the login we need to just suppose after login we will be moving to the home screen, right, in ideal scenarios, right? So we can trigger actions from here, right? We can take those as well, but that is optional, completely optional. So you can directly use some variables as well, like directly state variables, right? If is authenticated, like you can use similar to this, we can use is authenticated, and we can observe that if it's false, then it will be only on the home screen, and if it's like that gets true, it means login is successful, then we can move to the home screen, right, depending upon that. But I will be using the actions here. That creates some separation of concerns here, like single responsibility. So actions, we can define all the actions for ViewModel inside one. Actually, let's first of all define sealed class action. So here first we are writing the all the logic, then we'll be moving to the UI part and how we can use this same ViewModel inside both Android and iOS. Then we'll be checking that. So it will be data object because it don't require any data. So it's a simple object, we don't need data class here, right? Okay, cool. So here what we can do is private well view model, or maybe directly we can give it name actions. Okay, and we can use channel for that, right? If you know about Kotlin coroutines, you might have heard about this channel. So channel can be used to share the communication between two coroutines, right? We can multiple coroutines can send data and multiple coroutines can receive data, but single item can be received only once by any coroutine, right? After that item will be removed. It is like a you can think of it like a pipeline, right? Here from one side coroutines, suppose this is a one pipeline like this. So from here left side, suppose you can consider 1 item 2 3, here something will be added, send events with send event. Then from this, in the suppose here we are consumers, producer will produce, consumer will consume. It will be like a that kind of pipeline. I will not, let's not go into detail for this because that will not be the motive of this video. Okay, so let's just define it. Okay, actions. So dot receive as flow. So from these actions, suppose send or receive, whatever is there, so for both we have receive as options there, so that we can receive that as flow and then we can collect flow, right? That's why we can directly use receive as flow on send as flow for sending if we want to observe that thing. If we want to observe receive, then we can use receive as flow, right? Then again, let's make it C flow. It will be simple flow, but we in iOS side we need C flow. So there are three types. Similar to mutable state flow, we have C mutable state flow, and similar to the state flow, we have this C state flow, right? Then similar to flow, we have C flow for using in the iOS side, right? Okay, fine. And here we can trigger that action as well, right? Suppose dot send, we use send method here, right? So we can send which action dot login success, right? Similarly, we can add error as well here. According to that, what we need to do, we want to do something different on error, then we can trigger that one as well, right? Authentication error or any kind of message, those things, right? So we can make them private. Okay, so now almost ViewModel logic is done. Let's move on to the UI part. Let's quickly finish the UI. So inside this iOS, Android side, first of all, let's create a login screen. Okay, so it will be ViewModel. We can directly use login ViewModel, and what it's saying. Okay, it was the function parameter, by mistake I did that. I was thinking like it's a class. Okay, cool, no issue. So we can add this lifecycle ViewModel compose, this dependency as well. We might have missed that one. If you see, we can add this one, right? ViewModel utilities, it provides ViewModel utilities. Okay, then let's go here and implementation, and then it will be the 2.7.0. okay, let's replace it with that. Let's do it. Yeah, it's done, and hopefully, yeah, it's resolved now. The extension for getting the ViewModel, right? Okay, so inside the login screen, we will be creating two fields first of all, right? Then what we will be needing is some states. We will be collecting the states, right? And so let's continue with that. First of all, let's create a column here, and inside the column, let's pass few modifier here. Let's make it fill max size dot, add some padding 16.dp, and then let's make it vertical arrangement dot center, then alignment horizontal alignment alignment dot center horizontally. Okay, cool. Suppose, and now let's quickly finish our UI. Just add one heading that's saying this login. Let's add style. So we can apply heading 1 here actually, or headline medium, sorry, in material 3. Okay, we are not using material 3. Maybe we can quickly change that one as well. Yeah, that's fine. Typography dot, if you see it's headline medium, right? And let's make them to material 3 ones, right? And then what we need is, so we add a spacer here, and we can apply height dot height, let's say 16. Okay, then outline text field, we can use it. We can apply some modifiers here, fill max width, and then let's add some value. And first of all, let's take state variables here. It will be directly from view model dot, okay, actually we can make them public. Okay, dot username dot collect as state with lifecycle, right? State dot get value. Okay, similarly we can do for password. Okay, and then what we can do is for processing as well. Okay, cool. And then last one is button enabled, right? Okay, we are collecting these states. Now let's set the username here. Okay, then let's enable it whenever is processing. If processing is not there, like login we are not calling API, then they will be enabled, otherwise they will become disabled, similar to the button, right? And we can add one label here. It will be username, and finally on value change, it will be, we will be changing the ViewModel dot username dot value, because that is mutable state flow, right? Okay, and now let's just copy and paste it. Let's do the similar thing for password. And for password, if you know, we need to add one more field, visual transformation. It's password visual transformation, actually you can directly pass it here. And let's add one, maybe add one spacer as well here. It can be of ADP maybe. Okay, and then let's add the button, right? Or maybe if you see, we can add the apply logic here of processing. If it's processing, we can show some loading indicator, right? Else we can just use simple button on click, then we can add, okay, submit, and on click what we need to do is it will be the ViewModel dot login ViewModel dot on button pressed, fine. And let's apply some modifier as well here, fill max width dot, let's give it some height, maybe 48 dp, and one thing is enabled. So if note is processing, no, actually for button we have some different logic according to this is button. If username and password is not empty, we can apply that logic here, right? Fine, let's quickly try to run it and just use this login screen. Let's just move it to the app level. Okay, so if you see here, we can use the login screen directly, and here maybe we can replace them with material 3, but we don't need them, eventually we can replace, but as of now, so that build will be working. Or maybe we can delete this, not an issue. And similarly you need to open the iOS app from this project, this one in the Xcode. Parallelly let's start adding the screen for iOS, but even before that we need to do one thing actually. So Moco MVVM provides some extensions, right? Moco MVVM Swift, yeah, this, so we can use it provides some extensions so that we can work the same way for in the iOS as we work with the usual observable object view models, right? So few extensions are there it provides. For using that we can use it as Cocoa pods as well, but as now this project structure don't use Cocoa pods, right? So if we will be using Cocoa pods, we need to set up that manually, right? And then suppose if we will be setting that manually, so then what will happen is few things we need to make changes, right? Here we need to make it is static false because Cocoa pods require dynamic framework, right? But then that will be causing issue with the Compose UI. Suppose later on we want to adopt Compose UI as well in our app, right? Then that requires this to be static framework true. So that's why what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a trick here. Instead of using that as Cocoa pods, we will be copying the files directly from there and pasting those files. These files are there. If you see at this path, I'll paste the link of this in the video as well, description of the video. So let's quickly download them one by one. Okay, let's just download them inside the downloads. Okay, and yeah, okay, observable, see, okay, then state null label. Okay, I was checking it like if there is some way to download the direct whole folder, so it's not there. Okay, so let's quickly copy them. Okay, and here we can create the, you need to take care of this Moco flow SwiftUI, right? And here maybe we can directly add files directly from here. Let's go to the download one, then why it's not showing other files? Yeah, they are here, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so they are there. And one more thing we need to change, we need to replace this, okay, in all of these files. Import, because it requires one dependency. If we are using it as cocoa pods, we need to set up the name of our exported binary like this one. We need to make that use that name here, right? It requires, but what we can do is we are manually copying them and pasting, so we can make these changes as well. Okay, import one match, or even just directly paste it, paste it, paste it, paste, paste, right? And one more thing will be there, that is related to the Moco resources. If you are not using Moco resources, then we don't need that, we can comment that out. Yeah, this one. Okay, it's done, and let's just try to run it as well. For Android side, we can check our app here if it's running. Okay, some UI issue happens in emulator sometimes in my system. Let's try to rerun it. Meanwhile, we can continue with this. So let's now add new file, that is login screen. Okay, so in this, what we can do is we create some UI here. Let's import shared and import SwiftUI, right? So let's add struct login screen, extend view. It's like composables. In Jetpack compose we have composables, here we have view, right? And now what we'll be doing is how we can use that view model. So how, if you are having some knowledge about Swift or iOS development, you'll be knowing about these things. Observe object, right? If some view model is defined using observable object, we can declare them as observed object for observing their changes, or maybe just directly give it name login view model. Okay, and we can directly create class here. Okay, and then what we can do, we can take one state variable, state private, where is alert, show alert, maybe. Yeah, depending upon this we can show our alert, right? I'll be coming back to this later. First let's finish our iOS Android side. Let's try to run our one thing is there. Suppose we have not observed the actions there, right? These, so we will be observing these as well. So if you see, login ViewModel dot actions dot observe as actions, right? This method is there. It can allow flow to be observed as actions, right? If you see, okay, so here what we can do is we can just show a simple toast maybe, right? Like maybe what we can do is, for that it requires, we can directly okay, let's use this context. Login successful, and then toast dot length long dot show. Okay, let's now try to run it again and let's check it, then we will be finishing the iOS side. Okay, let's try to see. Something is wrong there. Let's check it. So we have enabled the button. Enabled. Oops, we have applied the wrong logic. It should be enabled. If it's enabled, then only it's enabled. We applied that wrong. Here, yeah, you can see. Now let's add anything. Okay, something is wrong. Password. Not is processing. Username. Okay. Password dot value. Yeah. Okay. Now let's check it. Then the password. You can see it's enabled. And now it will be, yeah, now it's disabled and loader is there and login successful. Here we can call the API, and then if we can replace that delay with the API from the ViewModel, and then here we can navigate to home screen and set in preferences or whatever we need to do after successful login, right? So this is done for Android. Now let's finishing it for, okay, yeah, why it's showing is, if you know, it's not conforming to protocol view. So for that what we need to do is we need to define a var body here of some view and then this, right? Now that error will be gone, hopefully. Okay, so now let's continue with this property declares an opaque return type. Okay, we need to add something here. Okay, cool, no tension. Let's add vstack here. Okay, and errors are gone. If you see, now what we'll be doing is, so let's first of all apply some spacing in the vstack. Vstack is similar to the column in the Jetpack compose, right? Then we need some text here. Let's add the login text, then the font, title font, then bold, and then we can use some text field, username, then define its text. Here we will be doing the binding. If you see, its type is also binding of string, right? So that binding we can do dot binding, right? And here we can directly use that key, right? If you see, for which state we need to do, with which state we need to do binding it with username, right? Cool. Then apply some padding and then apply some background color. It will be the system gray maybe, right? Corner radius let's add 8 units. Then dot disabled, we can, yeah, this way we can access the binding, and this way we can directly access the state, right? If this state will be changing, with which state, suppose if it's processing, okay, so if it's processing, it will be disabled, right? But it's showing core mutable state flow. Okay, let's check it. Have we changed the type or not? C mutable state flow. Oops, yeah, it's a capital C, so we can define its type as C mutable state flow, right? Then that error should go on. Once we will try to build, it will be going away, because we need to apply this with C mutable state flow for binding. You need to remember this thing. Then the password, we can do its binding with the password. This one will be same, and these things will be same. Yeah, but this can be secure text field. Okay, secure field. In our SwiftUI, we can directly use secure field for password, right? And then let's say apply the same logic. If ViewModel dot is processing, then what we can do is, actually we need to access this state here. Okay, so if it's processing, so let's show some progress view. Yeah, and else we can show the button. Okay, similar to the Jetpack compose, right? Here we can specify its action. If you see in the action, we will be doing the same thing. On button pressed, and here we will be showing the text submit. Then apply few styles. Let's apply some foreground style. It will be the white, and then the frame maybe for defining max width. Infinity, it will take the full width. Dot padding. Then apply the button's background. Let's apply the blue color here. Then the corner radius 8 point, right? Let's try to run it. So you can see we are directly using the ViewModel, same as we use in iOS side in SwiftUI, right? ObservedObject. Then we can use the binding like this. If you see, if we will be changing its value here, it will be reflecting in the ViewModel. If it will be changing in the ViewModel, it will be reflecting here, right? Similar to the password. Then according to this, we are accessing this way state, this way we are accessing binding. These two things are there. I will be explaining one more thing. So if we want to directly access this state, we can use this way. But if we want to observe and perform some transformation on this state, we want to make some changes over this state, we don't want to directly use, then how we can do that, I will be coming to that point as well. Okay, we didn't change the screen here. Login screen, it's VStack. Okay, here we can add that, or maybe just remove VStack as well. Okay, let's try to run it again. I think we have applied the gray color, that's very dark. Let's make few changes of there. Let's use its variant, lightest. Okay, let's rerun it. Okay, yeah, we can change it for both. Meanwhile, I'll be adding some other way of doing this, observing this view model, right? I will be coming to that point. Let's till then write this logic here. So now what is pending? Let's on success. We can just show one alert. What was that variable? Show alert. We can bind it, and inside the content we can just add one button to close that. We can set show alert false, and inside the label we don't need anything here, we can add directly it there. Okay, and for this we can set its title, we can try to run it again. That alert is not shown because we didn't apply that logic here, right? So we need to observe the actions now, right? How we can do that? Even before this, let me do that on receive, and here we can create our publisher, right, with cflow. This is an extension from Moco MVVM, right? So on which field? ViewModel dot actions, right? And then we can use action here, and we can apply the switch statement, and here case is login ViewModel dot action login success, right? Here what we can do is show alert to true. Okay, and break, and we can add default case as well. Okay, fine. Now let's try to run it. Yeah, so here we can move to the navigate to home screen, right? So this is it. And now another way can be like, if there is some state we want to observe, suppose suppose just this is processing, we want to observe this, right? And we want some, we can observe it directly as well with that way as we are using currently. Okay, but this method is also there for subscribe. So currently we are observing it like this, right? But suppose if according to that variable we want to make some changes here, right? Suppose on its value, if depending upon its value we want to make some other changes here, right? We make some changes, right? So then we can use this way, right? And so we can do then whatever we want to do, our changes, whatever we want to do, we can do that. Or another way can be, if we don't want to use this state way, so here we can update that state, right? Here we can create a one variable for that state as well, like this. It will work completely fine here, and here we can set that fine, right? Here we need to unwrap it. If let is processing state is equal to state, then we can do this. We need this wrapping here, okay? And then it will be of type bool. We need to do typecasting this, right? Because Kotlin is not directly interpretable currently with Swift, right? It's being converted to the Objective-C, and then from Objective-C we are using the creating the SwiftUI things, right? That's why we need these typecasts in this way. But there is one more way, we will be coming with that in other video, so then you don't need this type of typecasting, so stay tuned for that as well. So now then, depending upon this is processing, instead of this you can directly use that. So there are two ways for observing the states, right? This one I have just added for the example, so don't get confused with this. Let's comment it, right? Okay. So now let's come to this padding, guys. We can add this padding. We missed this thing earlier. Oh, now it should look good. Yeah, it's looking good now, right? All right, so I think now we are done with this in the iOS side as well. So we have learned how we can share the ViewModel completely from the Kotlin Multi Platform. Only we just need to write the UI logic here, right? So if you know about SwiftUI, then you can easily create the UI here and write all the logic in the KMM side, right? So you can further improve this, like apply some better paddings here, right? Maybe you can add some spacing between them. Okay, those things you can do on your own. So those are some UI changes. So now we are good to go with this. We have implemented it in Android and iOS both sides. If you can see, this ViewModel is used, that is shared between both. In the Android it's like very similar to this Android ViewModel. It will be pretty similar because you can see we can just directly call collect as state with lifecycle, right? In the iOS side it's directly similar to the and usual ordinary ViewModel. We the way we use in the SwiftUI without using Kotlin Multi Platform, how we create the ViewModels using the ObservedObject and then use this ObservedObject, right? The same way we are using here, and then same way we can use the state. So it's pretty similar, right? So guys, this is all about this, how we can share the ViewModel from KMM inside Android, Jetpack Compose and SwiftUI in iOS. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Only that way I will know like that. You need more content like this, and that will motivate me as well. And if you are new, please subscribe, and if you are not new, at least you can like, comment and share, so that I will get the point. You are liking, you are interacting with the video, so that I will be understanding I need to create more videos related to this. Okay, that will be an indication of that. Okay, so I'll be see you in the upcoming video. Till then, bye bye, take care, have a great time, keep coding.